Skywalker who first showed me to fly without holding my breath. Now when I fly, every breath is filled with the lowest love.
Sitting in an audience the first time at the Troubadour and watching what I to this day say is the best rock and roll band I ever heard in my life. The original Delaney Bonnie and Friends.
The greatest rock and roll show I ever saw in my life was at the Troubadour in 1967. I'm just listening to him, and he says it was Delaney and Bonnie and Friends, and I went, wow, and I started.
Yeah, I think Bonnie, it was a key for Delaney. You know, when they got together, it became an extraordinary
chemistry. Oh, yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
And so I didn't know that there was like 150 Magnolia Inns in Hollywood. He called every one of them, and he found me. And he came over and never left. We were married 7 days later. It was absolute magic. We sang together, and it was like, when this battle is over, and where to cry. When this battle is over, and where to cry. We're gonna wear the crown.
Well, you have to be the great soulful person that he was. I mean, he was one of a kind. There was only one Delaney Bramlett.
You know, like Johnny said, it was a religious experience. You know, I mean, where do you go?
Delaney and Bonnie should be in the Hall of Fame. All you know, they just ought to get them in both at the same time and get it over with.
Delaney is, like Little Richard said once to Delaney. He said, Delaney, I can do Little Richard, and Delaney Bramlett could do Little Richard. Nobody else.
Because Bonnie's from St. Louis, and Ike and Tina from St. Louis. They used to pot black her face, put a wig on her, and she would sing with the Ikettes. And as soon as you opened her mouth, she thought she was black, you know. And as soon as the show was over, they'd stick her in a car and shoot her home because it was in the ghetto, and they didn't want a little white girl there, especially at 14 years old. They all went to jail, you know.
Oh, well, we crossed that color line. The major, for me, one of the biggest accomplishments is that integrating gospel music in our show, no matter where our show is. We do Soldiers of the Cross, This Little Light of Mine, you know, we always integrated. But the thing was, when we did Stax, when we were signed on Stax, they thought we were black because we were signed over the phone and over a fax machine. So when we did get to Memphis and we were white, that Isaac Hayes was very shocked. They were quite shocked.
And then listening to the Ghetto,
I know.
I just suddenly realized, you know, I was very influenced by that arrangement. It was part of what inspired me to do Peace of Mind.
Delaney and Bonnie and Friends, because they were having the most fun and sticking to the roots and being cool. And
He put a mic up his butt and played his stomach on a track, and it's on to Bonnie from Delaney.
Tricycles? We're going to have a tricycle race.
Oh, okay.
So who's on the tricycle race? You know, Ginger Baker, Ringo Starr,
Really?
Keltner, Carl Radle, you know, Keith Richards.
The coolest times were when there was, like over at their house, when it'd be just Bobby and the three of them sort of sitting around singing. We're just way cool, really cool. There's a little piece on YouTube with me and Eric, and the three, and they're doing, oh darn, what's Poor Elijah, exactly, yeah.
Poor Elijah, living on a byway. Poor Elijah, he had to take over raising 14 kids when his daddy got caught stealing chickens from a neighbor one day. Work on line. Poor Elijah, born the son of a slave. Poor Elijah, he was damn near blind when he died last week. Working in the sun for the man like a dog all day. Work on line.
Sly was there, Wilson Pickett, Bobby Womack, and Jimmy Ford, who was a songwriter, great songwriter back then. And they're all hanging around the house. And you and Beck are out in the yard singing some dirty little jump rope song. And Delaney goes, opens the door and goes, "Girls, what do you girls don't?" And he just takes a piece of paper and he goes, "You sing that." And he goes back in the house and he sits down at the tape recorder and he's working on something. And all of a sudden he goes, "Bonnie!" And he jumps up, grabs a tape recorder and goes running out the door. And you girls got the jump rope going, "Never-ending love for you."
From now on, that's all I want to do. From the first time we met, I knew I'd have a never-ending love for you. I've got a never-ending love for you. From now on, that's all I want to do. From the first time we met, I knew I'd have a never-ending love for you. After all the time of being alone, we can love one another and feel for each other from now on. It's so good I can hardly stand it. Never-ending love for you. From now on, that's all I want to do.
I'm going to start a campaign if I make any money. I'm going to start me a campaign to try to get blues music a Hall of Fame, and because I think that's the heritage of this whole country, as far as music is concerned, and it's not even considered that.